Hi everyone, Chris Natsky here with Superfoot System, and welcome to Superfoot Stories. Stories from the life and times of Bill Superfoot Wallace. How are you, sir?
I'm absolutely fantastic. You guys okay? Good.
All right. So last time when we were together, you talked about how you got into karate, right?
Yes, sir.
You'd started in wrestling, went to judo, and then went to karate because of an injury.
Yes,
so
sir.
you got a knee injury. So tell us a little bit, what was training like in Okinawa?
I hated it.
You hated it? Why
Well,
is that?
I didn't hate it. I understand that I was at Kadena Air Base.
Yeah.
Back in 1965-66, when I was there was one gravel road from Kadena Air Base down to Naha. There were no concrete streets. There were nothing like this. And one main gate.
Right.
And there were no McDonald's. There was no fast food. There was just Okinawan food and the base. And because I was airman first at the time, I got free reign to go wherever I wanted to go. But I didn't want to go to Okinawa downtown that much because they didn't have anything that I wanted, except Eizo Shimabuku School at the shorter school. So I would go there every day and train. Now, I'm kind of fanatical. I had to get my knee going, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to use this thing much. So I said, now when I get there, I'm going to have to be able to spar, hopefully successfully. So I've got to find a way to get from point A to point B. Number one, because I can't use my rear leg, so I've got to keep it back to protect it. Plus also, I've got to be able to throw the side kick, the roundhouse kick, and the hook kick without doing a whole lot of pivoting with my hips because of my background in judo and wrestling. So I started playing with stuff, and I said, well, if I step forward, it looks like a back fist. It looks like a reverse punch. Then I slide up real quick. All of a sudden, I'm there within range before you know it. Then I have the side, the round, or the hook kick. And I just kept playing with it. I was taught just like everybody else. Step behind for the hook kick or the side kick. Step in front for the roundhouse kick. All of a sudden, I'm going, now hold it. If I step this way, I can't throw the hook kick. If I step this way, I can't throw the roundhouse kick. So I go, what happens now? So I just started playing with it because understand, I had nothing else to do.
Right.
So I'm at the dojo from probably 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock when they left. Every day. I don't drink, I don't smoke. There was nothing else to do. So I worked out.
Wow. So what's so interesting to me is that everything started in the Superfoot system because of that injury.
Yep.
I mean, that injury, as tough as it was at the time, was actually a blessing.
Exactly,
because you wouldn't
100%.
have been who you were without that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what were the classes like? What would you do in that 6 hours that you were there?
Well, I would take every class.
Okay.
The beginning students, medium students, and advanced students. And I would work with the brand new students and learn basics. Because I never got to use the basics.
Right.
I never started right at the very start. Because I started with the leg in a cast. Mm-hmm. So I went through basics to learn the basic movements. Kihon basics. I learned all the forms. They wanted me to do the weapons, but I didn't want to do the weapons because I didn't want to take a chance on this leg at all. And I hated weapons. Okay. To me, karate, very simply means empty hand.
Right.
If I'm going to use a weapon, I mean this is a joke, everybody. If I'm going to use a weapon, it'd be an Uzi. Lock this sucker. So that I was so intense in doing the karate aspect of it. And then when I started sparring, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely in love with it. Not being able to hit somebody, not being able to nail somebody, but just the competition. If I can get this in before you block it, or I can protect myself to keep you from hitting me. Mm-hmm. So the combinations, the techniques was great. And that's the part I loved about the whole thing. So that's why I spent all the time at the dojo.
Very good, very good. So were you in a school that was run by Japanese or Okinawans? Okinawans. Yeah. And were there a lot of other GIs there?
Oh, yeah.
Were there also Okinawans?
Yeah, Okinawans and GIs, yeah. It was funded by the United States Air Force.
Okay, all right.
Every American that was there was paid by the the United States government, the Air Force.
And how did they treat you? How did they treat
Great.
you as GI? They did.
Oh, for sure. Right. I mean, sometimes, a lot of times, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but we're there is especially an isolated post. Not isolated, but it is. You can't take your wife there. You can't take your So the guys are all the time looking for girls, but all of a sudden I fell in love with something, and I wanted to train.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do.
Right.
Now, later on, I got an apartment downtown. $30 a month, and you get a
Okay.
girl that took care of the apartment the whole time. But I would go out to the base, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because there was food out there.
Wow. So I want to ask, one final question. I mean, were you over in Okinawa doing karate and doing military part-time, or were you doing karate full-time, military?
Basically karate full
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
because my second 2 years in the service, remember I was in the Air Force,
Right.
I taught combative measures the last 2
Okay.
years, because being in judo, being with the movement, so forth, the self-defense aspect of it, and so forth, they found out what I could do. So then the Air Force changed my FSC to combatives training.
Very good.
So I taught the air commandos going over to Vietnam combative measures.
All right, very good. Very
So
good.
so I worked out during the day,
Yeah.
and then go to work out at night.
Wow. Great story, sir. I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap up today, and so now you've got a little bit of a view of what was happening in Okinawa when Grandmaster Wallace started training, and then when we come back next time, we're going to explore a little bit about your early time in the United States when you came back and got your black belt.
Yep.
All right, so thanks so much for joining us, everyone. This has been Chris Natsky from Superfoot System, and we'll see you next time on Superfoot Stories.